Hey guys! The books that I'm going to share with you today are some young adult novels from different cultures. 3 of them are award-winning books, and the other 2 are national bestsellers. The first one I'm going to tell you about is a story that's set nearby in the Pacific Northwest. It takes place on the Spokane Indian Reservation in Washington, and it's called The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. My name is Junior, and I'm just another poor Indian kid from the Spokane Indian Reservation, born to a family too poor to even take our dog to the vet when he was dying. Well, I was just another poor res kid, till I hit my teacher in the face with a book. Now I know what you're thinking, but it's not what it sounds like. Okay, it kinda is what it sounds like, but I didn't mean to do it. You see, I was sitting in geometry class my freshman year, excited to learn about lines and angles and stuff, when I opened up my textbook and found out it was my mom's textbook from 30 years ago. Our school was so poor, we were still learning the same stuff from books our parents had 3 decades ago. That's when I lost it and threw the book across the classroom, and accidentally hit my teacher in the face. I mean, he was cool about it, he forgave me and stuff, but he did tell me that I should leave the res, go to a better school, and get some hope. You see, my parents are descendants of poor Indians, who were descendants of poor Indians, who were descendants of poor Indians, all the way back to Adam and Eve. I wanted more for my life, and I wasn't scared to leave the res to get it. So I decided to transfer to Reardon. It was a rich, white farm town full of rednecks and racists, but it was also the home of the best high school in the state. They not only had newer textbooks, but they also had a computer lab, chem lab, and 2 gyms, because one wasn't enough. These kids had it all, including hope, so I decided to go get some for myself. My dad drove me 22 miles away from the res to Reardon High, and that's when I became a part-time Indian. You see, on the res, I was Junior, a stuttering kid with glasses, president of the Black Guy Club, if you get my drift. At Reardon, I was Arnold, the only Indian, if you don't count the mascot. A kid who had the guts to punch one of the biggest guys at school, take the prettiest girl at school to the dance, and also be on the basketball team. Being a part-time Indian had its fair share of challenges, but it also opened up a world of possibilities I had never known before. The next book I want to share with you is set in Mexico, and it's called Esperanza Rising. My name is Esperanza Ortega, and I used to have it all. My parents adored me. I had amazing friends, a beautiful house with servants, beautiful dresses, and extravagant parties. Everything a 12-year-old could hope for. My life was a dream, until the day it became a nightmare. My papi, my honorable, loving father, was brutally murdered by ruthless bandits, and his brothers made it worse. My tío tried to force my mom to marry him. When she refused, he maliciously burned down our home to help her see her need. We obviously couldn't stay in Aguascalientes, Mexico, so we moved to California with our servants, who became like family to us. Nothing could have prepared me for how difficult life would become. We moved to a home that looked more like the stables of our horses back in our old house. What's more, we had to share it with our friends, or else be homeless and jobless. On top of all that, the other girls were really rude to me, because they blamed the rich for the problems of the poor, even though my papi was very generous to all of his servants, and he gave them land and fair wages. We have nothing now, but my mom wants me to be happy that we're together. How can I be happy when things keep getting worse? My mom is really sick now, and the camp is on strike. What will happen to us now? Will I ever be able to rise above the sea of troubles that keep following me? This next book is across the Atlantic Ocean in a country called Sudan. It's called A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park. And to think, just that morning, the most challenging part of 11-year-old Salva's day was paying attention in Arabic class. The gunshots outside his classroom window brought him back to reality, to a harsh reality. His teacher told him to run to the bush, away from town, away from his home, lest the rebel soldiers find him and force him to join them or die. He begins a dangerous journey that seems aimless and endless at times. He's often at the mercy of strangers, hoping against hope that he will be reunited with his family someday. In a land of rebels with machine guns, stealthy lions that can sneak up in the night, relentless deserts that yield no water or shade, and overcrowded and sometimes hostile refugee camps, what chance does a young man have on his own? Read the remarkable true story of Salvador and find out how his story intertwines with 11-year-old Naya's long walk to water that is told interchangeably throughout the story. The next book I'd like to share with you is called Sold by Patricia McCormick. My name is Lakshmi. I am from Nepal. I am 14 years old. I used to live with my beautiful mother, who was more lovely than the goddess my people prayed to. My stepfather, who was too embarrassed of his crippled arm to even try to get a job, and my baby brother, who we hoped and prayed would survive through the seasons long enough for us to start to count his age. My family didn't have much, but we had each other. And I had my baby goat, Tali, who thought she was human and that I was her Amma. I also had my cucumbers, all with their own names. Well, that was before my stepdad sold them all to gamble all night at the local tea shop. But I also had my school, where I was the top student. Until the day the rain came and destroyed our crop. My stepfather said it was time for me to go work in the city and support my family, and I was happy to go, if it could mean a coat for my baby brother to help him survive the seasons, and a tin roof for my Amma to make life easier on her. After all, my best friend Geeta moved to the city to work, and she had improved the life of her family. I hoped and I dreamed that I could do the same for mine. Only my dream turned out to be a nightmare I couldn't wake from. A beautiful stranger, who called herself my auntie, said she would take me to the city for work. So, my stepdad sold me to her for 800 rupees. She sold me to a man who took me to Calcutta, India, to the happiness house. But there was no happiness in that house for me. It wasn't until I was forced into the bedroom with an old man that I realized I had been sold into prostitution. Every night I had to lay with men and let them do whatever they wanted to me, or else I was beaten, starved, or drugged. I had to cope with horrors that no one should ever experience. But I hoped and believed someday I would be able to see my family again. I felt some comfort in the friendships I developed with the other girls who worked there, and a boy who taught me Hindi and English in secret. Yet I'm not sure how much longer I can bear this existence. Will I ever earn enough to pay off my debt and return home? Will this living nightmare ever end? The last book I want to share with you today was set in 12th century Korea, and it's called A Single Shard by Linda Sue Park. In the 12th century, there lived a homeless orphan in Chulpo, Korea, named Trier. When he was 2 years old, he began living with Crane Man, so called because he only had one good leg to stand on. What Crane Man lacked in worldly possessions, he made up for in love and stories. Trier was content with his life. In his free time, he liked to go watch a local potter named Men craft his artwork. An accident caused Trier and Men to meet and develop a sort of apprenticeship. Trier was sent on a journey by foot with Men's finest work to show the emperor. He heads to Songdo by himself with the valuable pottery carefully wrapped in a package. But Trier meets thieves on his way who drop all of the vases over a cliff. Trier must make the most difficult decision of his life. Should he return to Men in shame, or finish his journey and convince the royal house to buy from Men without any vases? I hope you'll join the characters in these books on their journeys and learn more about other cultures and other countries. Thanks for listening. Bye.